thank you. Wow. I don't think my right hand snaps have ever been that clear. Thank you for bringing wonderful light to music. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. At this point, it's just, I don't know. It's just what I do. It's like an extension of my own being at this point. Without sounding very esoteric. It's kind of, YouTube is just kind of a portal that I like to open. But in real time, you know, the amount of music I feel that just naturally expresses or connects to what I feel or what I do in my life is just great. It just comes in waves, and I kind of just, yeah, I just kind of ride those waves or embrace whatever flows through. It's crazy though. I mean, I woke up this morning and I was listening to Alexander Misko. I don't know if you guys are familiar, Alexander Misko. Really dope Russian guy. But he basically released a George Michael Careless Whisper full comprehensive cover on fingerstyle guitar. And holy, that song, so well done, so inspiring, so melodically complex. Just after listening to it, I was like, you know what? I think I need to step up my guitar playing game. I was like, I need to get better. I need to like really hone certain elements of complex composition and arrangement. That is on the guitar. Appreciate you being here, Cosmic Sky. You should wear the hat, the power of destiny. That I will, brother. The hat will come. The hat will come. Remember, perfection is an illusion. Yeah, I think what I've realized recently is not wearing the hat is actually not necessarily, it's not a means of dishonoring, or almost like it's not about the hat or not the hat. It's more so I also like to rock the beanie in its wholeness. Like I love this Scandinavian symbolism. I like this to be honored for what it is. Like, really just embracing the dope Scandinavian sort of ancient rune energy. That's often, if I'm not wearing the hat, it's not because I don't want to wear the hat. I love rocking the hat always. But it's like some days I'm just like, yeah, I want to just like tune in to the ancient Scandinavian energy.
Just a consideration with,
I'm right stream. Yeah.
yeah. Just with the spring cleaning, you could probably clean out some stuff in that closet.
Potentially a lot of it's kind of there for, yeah,
Yeah, but if you can,
for intention.
spring cleaning, that'd be great.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Kyle. Piano Journey. Appreciate that. What's popping off in here? Just piano, pan flute improv, just flowing through. Yeah. Really emphasizing a lot of these like I don't know exactly. It's like I think it's the A sharp minor, but then also accompanying that with I think the G sharp minor. As we're it's kind of like yeah. And I've had this sort of theme from Last Samurai stuck in my head a lot for some reason this morning. So when I'm playing this improv, or when I'm playing this, always a pleasure to be here. Boy, thank you. It's been interesting, I've been in this place where, as a YouTuber, a guitar YouTuber, I'm very much in this interesting phase where I feel I'm at a crossroads, like a beautiful crossroads, where I very much desire to just really lean deeper into like the higher role as a YouTuber. As I've sort of emulated, like I want to just be like creating high quality content, or really leaning into certain dimensions of content that I really feel like I can really do justice and create like a very beautiful experience, be it like musical, meditative sound journeys, or I don't know, immersive adventures where I'm just going to places. But yeah, long story short, I've been like really just feeling into inspiration of how I can like really lean into just creating like these elaborate journeys and just create high quality content, as I've sort of been emulating a lot, but I have no idea how to perform. Yeah, blind by corn. But yeah, thank you for the interest. It's healing. It's all very fitting for you, any hat you feel. Yeah. And remember to root yourself in your breath. Really letting yourself breathe deeply. It's funny, I've been actually teaching myself the didgeridoo lately. And part of that is like there's so many interesting elements of the didgeridoo that produce or introduce some interesting challenges, but the most interesting one is, of course, circular breathing, which is such a unique thing. But even if you just experience or explore the didgeridoo, I notice just the awareness of like really desiring to emphasize stretched out notes. You know, if you're doing a didgeridoo note, especially if you're doing like what I'm doing, like Tibetan throat singing inside the didgeridoo, I notice it kind of creates this beautiful breathwork, somatic like effect where it's like when you do the didgeridoo notes, it's like exploring all these different ways to just emphasize the breath, you know. And as it is, it's someone was, you know, commenting on this stream of how I guess doing these types of hums and, you know, breath and vocal activation, it activates the vagus nerve. And I've noticed that invariably where as I'm going to the forest and practicing this didgeridoo, I'm noticing that immediate vagus nerve activation. You know, it's like the vagus nerve is like a part that's right sort of near the pineal gland. So I found that really interesting, just the constant breath activation and the vagus nerve activation. I'm really thinking to myself how I can sort of emphasize I could live and listen to this. Wow. Live my life listening. So beautiful. Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Abby and beyond. Yeah, me too. Definitely, you know, I find I've spoken this very openly where doing these piano streams with pan flute, and when I wake up, I'm just chilling, drinking matcha or drinking cacao. Is this is just so cathartic to me. Where I just do this every morning, as much as I can, if I can, every morning, and it's just so releasing and therapeutic for me in general. But then to do this on a stream, it's just like double fun. It's just kind of like fun to begin the stream with that energy of just like really tapping into this organic realm where it's like, you know, even when I was new to streaming, I found sometimes I would like just tire out playing guitar for hours and hours or just, you know, tire out little certain dynamics. But doing the piano stream would often just bring me back home. Like it would root me. It would be like, okay, even if I want to sort of experiment or explore something that's very organic to me, then it's just like hopping on the piano. Often feels that way, where it's like just taking a step back and just kind of leaning into simplicity. And of course, today I feel very inspired to basically play around with like very, very active pan flute segments. Like I feel like I really just want to emphasize Yeah, chill. Winner takes it all by habit. Yeah, don't know how to perform that, I would say. What it do, gym today, gym today. Hell yeah, brother. I love that. I love that for you, bro. I feel what I'm probably gonna do today is probably do a short sprint to the forest and then go probably do the gym and then go to the beach today. Probably do a beach stream at some point. Kind of feel into that. You can tell the instrument he's playing is a piano on account the way it looks like a piano. The winner takes it all by Abin. Can't say I know how to play that or perform that song. ABBA. Or ABBA song. That's interesting, Minecraft vibes. Honestly, no idea what the Minecraft music sounds like, but I guess it sounds great. I'm guessing if that's how it sounds. This is actually more so I'm using the same key, or a few of the keys. I'm jumping octaves and kind of mixing it up from The Last Samurai theme. I don't know if you guys seen the movie The Last Samurai. It has like a really beautiful theme. I think it's the theme that's called Way of Life. Way of Life. It's a Hans Zimmerman score. And basically, yeah, it has elements of like whoa, whoa, and then I kind of mix it up with pan flute, and then kind of hop around octaves and just improv through that. But that's the core theme. It's that like, and then it goes like through that. Like kind of pops into that. Oh. Word, yeah, appreciate you being here, my guy. I know last time you said you were here, you were feeling kind of stressed or, yeah, kind of just like in a deep exam season or something like that. Yeah, hope life's been good for you, or life's been kind and good. I think I'm gonna grab some more cacao while I still can, right quick, and then we're gonna continue this, and then probably see where this goes. Very good. Yeah, immune systems are wild. It's crazy. I feel like, I've had these kind of weird, I'd say cold-like symptoms that I thought were a cold, but then it just disappeared in 24 hours. So it's almost like I have a sneaky feeling what happened was, for whatever reason, my brother, he cooked a bunch of herbs that he burnt because he forgot them, and it created this big smoke kind of cloud that I think just released toxins in the air, and I feel like it sort of created like an allergic reaction. I got some sort of infection or something. So in 24 hours, basically I was like, oh, word, I'm sick. And then immediately I just rested up, just kind of let it do its thing. And then within 24 hours, yeah, I'm at pretty much completely 100%, which is a mind fuck. It's like preparing myself, like, oh, damn, like I got to slow down my reality and just kind of take on being sick and anticipating being sick, which is never fun. But then in 24 hours time, it's just like symptoms are gone. And I'm like, well, now I'm not sick. So it's an interesting feeling. I feel very grateful immediately. Like, grateful for being healthy, grateful for having the opportunity to just resume life and existence. Yeah, still the same, but I stopped caring less and coming back to me now, hoping able to face it strongly this time. That's valid, man. I mean, you're still young. You're still young. You're still trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how to manage your stressors. The difference between a person who's like, in a different generation that's like struggling, maybe like juggling variables of life, is surely your ability to have tools that effectively allow you to regulate stress and or transmute energy if you are, transmuting complex emotions. But in the simplest right, yeah, the difference between like a person that's like well adjusted, that's integrating and thriving even among all the stressors of life, being an adult, is surely just a guy that has tools. Like, you have effective tools. Be it tools are like, playing guitar and writing music, or going to the gym and regulating yourself, or maybe it's having an intimate partner in your life that holds space for you, that creates a healthy emotional and safe space, or whatever it is, right? There's many tools you can say, and even having an intimate partner, that's not even a tool per se, that's a reflection. It's a mirror into where you're at. So depending on how integrated you are, the universe will present you that in a mirror, which is another person, because people are portals. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, brother. Inherently, life's been very kind. Life's been very kind, I'd say, to myself. I've had some beautiful, powerful shifts continually, like outside of the YouTube realm. And of course, I feel continually grateful to be like, wow, like even just continuously looking back and just looking at where my YouTube journey's at, I feel very grateful for how I've established myself and built this channel. It's super dope. It's honestly still surreal in a sense, but also becoming less surreal, like in the reality where I've really come to embody and really embrace this role of being a YouTuber in a very healthy way. Of being like, all right, how can I really just honor this relationship with building this business, with creating just a beautiful YouTube experience, and continuously, that's where my mind is at. I'm continuously just staying rooted within my reality and just doing the YouTube thing as I am, but always trying to focus on what is my larger aim. Like, how can I grow this business to the best of my degree, and while also honoring myself in my real world, honoring the people in my life and being present with my life. It's interesting though. I listened to this podcast actually. Comes back stronger this time. Yeah. Stop caring about that. I'll come back stronger. Exactly. Well, that's the thing is, I watched this podcast. That was this guy talking about basically why the majority of people are unhappy. And man, what a powerful, beautiful podcast. But long story short, this guy's a Harvard professor, a professor in neurology. And he's like pretty casual guy. Looking at him, he doesn't look like a professor. Like, he's very fit, very buff, and has like glasses. He just looks like a casual, normal guy, but he's a Harvard professor. And it's interesting, at one point in the podcast, he's talking about, because he's also a coach. He's a professor naturally, but he's also a coach. He teaches people. He has clients where he teaches people basically the nature of happiness. And more so, what he's emphasizing is a lot of people, it's not necessarily being happy per se is the goal, or is like a lot of people don't realize that you're not supposed to be attaining happiness indefinitely. It's more so realizing why your relationship with happiness or unhappiness is present. Like basically, what what is the role you're playing in your own unhappiness? And more so, this guy, I guess he's again Harvard professor in neurology, and I think he has a few different sectors of how he teaches or does professor or professes. The idea is that he teaches his clients who are often, as he calls them, highly successful people, but not like emotionally successful, but these are like people that make a lot of money or managing large corporations or companies. And a lot of these people are his clients, and he's basically having to teach them and unpackage why, even on a neurological level, but it goes deeper, why they are inherently unhappy. Like, because these are a lot of people that approach him that are saying, "Oh, I've achieved all this in my life. I have all these things that make me, feel successful," but in deep down, they're miserable. And he made this interesting statement where he said, for one, he says a lot of his students, in Harvard, they come to him and they're just like, I'm can't cope with the stress. I'm unhappy. I'm miserable, and I'm studying this thing. And he says, well, and he said this interesting thing where he basically was saying, well, you're a student at Harvard. Like, what do you expect? Like, what do you actually like? You're doing something magnificent. You're doing something that is high stress. That is very much you're applying your fullest self. What did you expect? Like, it's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be challenging. You're supposed to be put under stress, but you should see it as a good thing. Like, it's not like you're, miserable, having an existential life crisis where you're just destroying or destructing. It's like when you're applying yourself arduously to something that really matters, when you're really showing up for yourself. Say, for his example, again, he's talking to his Harvard students. He's like, what did you expect? Like, you're undergoing something powerful, something magnificent, something that's like a massive shift in your life. So it's basically like he's just kind of advocating people to manage their perspective on they why they perceive unhappiness versus happiness versus their models of where they're at in their life, and almost just realizing that, if they're on like this arduous quest where they have to forge this healthy relationship with this discomfort and challenge and adversity and learn to apply themselves, maybe they shouldn't be fixated on being like, oh, but why am I not like super happy and ecstatic and blissful, when you're undergoing something that is cataclysmic, that is life changing, that is taking on something that is really powerful and meaningful. And I don't know. There was a lot said in that podcast, but I don't even remember half of it, to be perfectly honest, because I remember just watching like 40% of it. But strangely enough, like this guy was having this very transparent conversation about happiness and unhappiness. And again, he was more so underlining that human beings, we're not supposed to always be happy per se. Like, sure, we can be, I forget the way he said, it's like we can have positive emotions and have all these different parts, but it's like the idea that we always think that happiness is this fixed thing. It's like you achieve happiness and therefore you're happy forever is an illusion. Like, it's not like you're supposed to just be permanently happy forever. At least not when you're living in this society. It's like important to understand sort of like the natural flux, I'd say. I don't know if that's the overall philosophical bend I would take, but I liked his perspective. Like, I feel like this guy surely was speaking to a very large percentage of society, of being like, oh wow, why are a lot of people, they can't understand why they are so unhappy, where a lot of it's just a perspective. Like, they have an illusionary, a delusion relation to what happiness is in relation to why they're unhappy. And it's interesting. I don't know. Not a perspective I particularly identify with full on. I believe, and I resonate with what he says, like on the opposite side of it is, I personally feel like, happiness is something that I see as a product of my own, I would say, perception of why I do what I do. Like, happiness is not something to achieve, to be achieved outside of yourself. It's like a choice that roots you in your being. Like, it's almost like it's a product of the choices that you've made that really honor yourself and your experience. Like, it's really, happiness is not a thing you just like attain. It's just it's a thing you become, that you embody as a product of living a life that really, you're proud of, that resonates with you. But obviously also we're human beings. Like we live in this 3D. So it's important to acknowledge. It's like we can't always be consistently ecstatic and blissful. Magic. Very nice. All right, let's down this cacao and go to the guitar. Do guitar stuff in the studio. Exception. Homie says he can do that to whatever that means. Yeah, but no, the feeling of listening to Alexander Misko, like I was saying straight at the start of the stream, Mr. Alexander Misko released this dope song. It's a Careless Whisper full cover. And I don't know if you know Alexander Misko. He's like a guy that when he was like, I don't even know, maybe like 20 years old, he did a cover of Careless Whisper. Beautiful cover, beautiful cover. And he did mainly the main verses. But I guess he just did a full release of the song, like a full cover of the Careless Whisper song, of Careless Whisper. And he was releasing it in his new album. I guess he's releasing a new album called, what's it called? Final Boss album. Or Final Boss EP or whatever it is, but such an exceptional album. I gotta say, like, shout out Alexander Misko. Dude is a phenomenal guitarist, but just listening to his cover of Careless Whisper, start to finish, blew my mind. I was like, this is peak musicianship. Like, really, his guitar skill, his level of technique is just very inspiring. Like, truly, he's one of my core inspirations for a good reason. Like, the guy's very experimental. He's very, like, humble, but it's also just whimsical, but a phenomenal guitarist. So listening to his cover, it was just like, immediately I was like, man, I gotta step it up. Like, I really want to, it inspires me. I'm like, I want to really go deep in refining my technique. And basically a lot of what Alexander Misko does really well is he does this thing where, well, he plays a lot with one hand, which I do in some rights, but he does like really clean bass lines. With one finger, he'll do full bass lines, and then he'll do entire melodic sections with these three fingers. He'll just do all these like one-handed legatos, and then he'll do bass section tapping. really, really flawlessly, which I really appreciated. Alex Misko is crazy talented. Yeah. That's the funny thing is he's definitely talented, absolutely. But he's also just a dude. Like you can see, he like 10 years ago or 5, 6, 7 years ago, when he was posting a lot of his original stuff. Oh. Yeah, what blows my mind about Alexander Misko is really the dude is really he's talented. Surely he's got some like very unique ways of playing the guitar, innovative ways. But a lot of what he does is just pure technique. Like the dude's not just talented per se. He's a guy that has spent clearly countless hours, much like a lot of the more modern sort of virtuoso types, and you can see it's all technique. Like the dude is just technically a genius because he's placed so much time in developing his technique. And part of that, the product of that, is he's opened up a lot of freedom to innovate all these trippy little innovations in modern fingerstyle guitar play. It's magnificent, I must say. Where'd that come from? I'm trying to sort of take a page from Alexander Misko's playing book for that. He sells this type of guitar you can buy on. Yeah. That's actually exactly as I want to buy his guitar, the one that has the detuning pegs, where he does his little, detuning peg style. That's actually the next guitar I want to buy. I feel when I'm going to invest in a new acoustic guitar, it will be, yeah, Alexander Misko's type of guitar. Yeah. It's interesting though. I feel like when you really look at his play style, his playing style, a lot of it has to do with, again, like kind of what I was just doing in a moment here. It's like he's kind of playing around with yeah, he's playing around with these like mid-range bass notes that he's just incorporating. Right? It's like he'll be like doing this thing where, as we are starting here, it's like you have a bass note riff, That's the emphasis. Then he'll in between that. And then in between that, of course, instead of doing what Alexander Misko does, you can instead use the one hand to just do some crazy actual drum stuff. Taking a page from Alexander Misko's book. Maybe try to place this somewhere here. It's tricky to get those one-handed. Take a lot away from that. It can take a lot from taking a page from Alexander Misko. Then go like. Fuck yeah, that's cool. That's cool as fuck. I gotta balance this mini guitar or this mini drum though. It's crazy. I don't know. I've never really considered that for whatever reason. It's like the sort of emphasis on the bass riff as Alexander Misko is doing, where it's like. Then the other hand is kind of like doing a secondary. Not my specialty, not my focus, but yeah, that's cool. By lightning, a dark day for me and a beautiful flash of light. The background healing and listening. That's beautiful, brother. Well, thank you for being in your dark day, and hope you're seeing yourself from an observer perspective and giving yourself lots of love and patience and understanding. As we are, we're trying to multitask some crazy stuff, but I think we're on to something here. A little bit sloppy here, there, but pretty good. It's interesting though. I'm in this interesting phase where I'm noticing the YouTube algorithm. It's kind of doing this fun little thing. I mean, I just stream sort of whenever I feel fit. Where I do notice, of course, if I stream at different time frames, different people from different parts of the world, for different audiences, they flow through, depending on sort of, I don't know what's going on in the world. What time of, maybe what time of the week or whatever's going on. It's interesting how I'm kind of just indifferent to it all. I don't really stream with a specific schedule trying to target certain times of the day or this or that. I just do whatever's organic to me because of course I'm also grinding it out where I'm streaming like to try to get watch hours as I've been historically on the quest to get monetization. But now that we're like 4 days away officially from updating to pure monetization. We're at like 3,800 watch hours out of 4,000. So now it's kind of like my new strategy moving forward is definitely I want to maybe see the creative ways that I can tap into whatever audiences really flow with whatever it is I'm doing here. Just like how can I continue to find the audience that resonates with me and not just an immediate sense but like a larger scale, like being all right, how can I work with the algorithm to really find what is the optimal time frame or optimal dynamic that really resonates on a larger scale. What's going to explode in the algorithm, which I've obviously done before. I've done like at least 2 or 3 times. I've seen the difference of being like, oh word, here we are managing 500 1,000 views to blowing up to like 3 4,000. So it's like there's clearly something to it, and I've been kind of random with the way I approach it. I just do whatever. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna stream for the sake of streaming and do my dynamic. But I think, yeah, it's high time to now be like, all right, now that I'm entering monetization, it's a very prime time to really focus on like, all right, how can I really let this work with the algorithm to like find my audience even further. Oh, of course, that's just me thinking out loud. There's a way. There's always going to be a way. There's always going to be the ability to sort of like, you know, try to focus on little elements that don't really matter, like metrics or this, that, odd person or engagement. I feel like the larger vision for YouTube, like to succeed in YouTube, and I've said this like a billion times, is like it's literally more so about seeing the larger vision and bringing that to life. Like not focusing on like, but how can I get more views, or what is the, the plan in the next coming days or the weeks. It's letting yourself actually successfully focus on the larger components. Like what is the larger elements and larger vision, things you're going to be piecing together and putting together like years down the road in relation to you as a YouTuber or your YouTube journey. So those are the questions that I sit with. Is I don't really care about what is the immediate viewer algorithm engagement. Those aren't things I truly even fill my time with or think about. It's like I'm really trying to think of like what is the larger shift that is unraveling? Like what is the larger piece of what's going on that I can somehow unpackage? I feel like if I'm doing Alexander Misko style, I gotta have more like room here. And in essence, honestly, the answer to that, like what is the larger vision, what is the larger component, it's actually pretty obvious sometimes. Like it's funny, it's like, I think in YouTube, it's kind of like people, myself included, it's easy to get focused on the little goals, the little visions, or being like, oh, but what is the content I'm going to make this week or tomorrow? But I think that always the answer is pretty clear. At least in my mind, it's like, if I were to be like, what is really going to catapult me into a larger realm of uh, YouTube dynamics? In my mind, it's simple. It's like, doing really extensive philosophical um, interviews with friends or other creators, or I don't know, maybe doing live guitar lessons with people, breaking down dynamics, or doing like live busking acts, or recording the busking acts and going. And it's basically the answer is to everything I'm saying is incredible amounts of discomfort. It's like the answer in every right. If you look at like what is the larger vision, like what's the larger vision that puts everything in perspective, the answer is always profound amounts of discomfort. You think, are you thinking too small and getting fixated on the little variables? It's like for me, it's like if I were to look at like what does it look like to create like super dope quality content, well, it's like I could, in the next coming weeks, I could start taking my busking act to like, community centers, or going to really interesting parts of the city and just doing live performance, and then recording that or doing a live stream where I'm creating this experience for the perceiver. That's not just about, this stream experience. It's like a larger experience that I'm getting an experience, a real life experience that they get to experience in real time. And I think that is probably the key to good content. It's not just trying to emulate this experience or like artificially enact an experience. It's actually making real experiences that you capture in real time. Which obviously, just saying that's a little more tricky, if you wrap your mind around it. I mean, sound processing, one sound, many different ways. That's powerful. Thank you for sharing, Rick. I agree with that. Where that tells me, where that takes me is Zoom, taking what are they called? Those little boxes where you can record any sound anywhere, and take that and then yes, incorporate that as Foley, or use that as like a sound that you can incorporate. Like say I take the Zoom and record birds or the sound of water, or I'm recording random sounds of objects. That I think is surely what I'm going to be doing moving forward in some concept. Is like purchasing one of those. I could think they're called a Zoom, and then taking that and then recording anything and everything high quality, and then incorporating that, in like a live loop. That's what I take away from that. I love that. Hey, buddy, what's the story? Did you fix your accidentally flash bang your brother made you? Sound like another powerful magician. What? Did you fix accidentally flashbang your brother made you? He sounds like another powerful magician. Yes. I'm very confused by that statement, but I sort of get the context of what you're saying. I don't know, I'm kind of experimenting with this kind of Alexander Misko type play style, where I'm like really trying to do these like one-handed isolated bass combos or bass riffs. But then at the same time, I'm trying to like weave in with the other fingers. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So do a bass riff, and then at the same time, of course, I'm doing acoustic percussive elements. So I do a steady rhythm here. And then somehow I'm creating a melodic riff on top of it. I don't know how the actual fuck Alexander does that. Of course, the answer is always lots of practice. Can you do Can't Help Falling in Love? I have no idea how to perform that, brother. Yeah, not a cover artist, but I appreciate the interest. Remember your bro burned herbs by mistake. Ah, I get you. Flashbang. Ah. I wasn't sure if the flashbang was like a metaphor for his like almost like energetic, emotional lapse of composure or whatever was going on the other week. But yeah, no, I mean, it's yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the yeah, the goodwill. I feel definitely a lot better. Definitely, yeah, that was the thing. I'm almost positive. I can't prove it, but I think what occurred was he basically him like filling the house with fucking smoke or the downstairs by burning a bunch of herbs because he left it burning for like an hour or whatever it fucking did. Released toxins in the air, so I got like a sinus infection immediately. It was like literally immediately after he did this, within like 3-4 hours, I was like had phlegm and I felt like I was full on sick. And now it's been 24 hours, and I've rested my body, and I felt like I have full on had a flu, and then 24 hours later, now I feel fine. Like my sinuses are a little bit weird, but my whole body's fine. Like I don't feel sick anymore. I feel great. I feel well rested, but just my sinuses are a little bit clogged. Beyond that, I feel phenomenal. So clearly, it was that. It was literally like he burned some toxins into the air, and it created this like allergic reaction naturally because he released a bunch of toxins from burning, metal in a pot with a bunch of burned stuff. So I don't know. He's done that before, so I'm kind of frustrated. I'm like, dude, that's like, you gotta lock it in. Gotta not like poison the household with like burning metal and herbs. But no matter what, it is what it is. Mistakes happen. But I'm fortunate. I'm glad I'm just not sick. I'll be honest, like I'm happy that I'm not like dying sick, that I don't have a cold all week or whatever I thought maybe was going on. I feel much better. So, I'll be able to like spend time with my partner, I'll be able to go to the beach, I'll be able to do human stuff where I'm not just dying. But weird though, because these 24 hours I've literally just had to derail everything. But c'est la vie. I mean, this is what it is. It's a learning moment, I'd say. Welcome. HMNA. Hey, thank you, brother. Again, I'm trying to roughly play. Trying to play around with the weird, sort of advanced concept of just, one-handed bass riffs, which I'm pretty good at, but I'm not like on Alexander Misko's level. Of course, I got my own skills or strengths within that. Why, thank you, friend. Good, you're back on the road to recovery. Don't be frustrated. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, we all make mistakes. We all burn dishes here and there, but I think the level of neglect to leave a pot of herbs for like an hour plus to like release toxic fumes into a shared space, that is just that's just pure ignorance. Like I think he's gotta ask himself why he's checking out for a solid hour or two and letting, you know, poisoning the household. Not to say it like in such a arduous way or such a disdainful way. Just sucks. It sucks to get sick for 24 hours
simply because a person accidentally leaves herbs, and he's done this multiple times. That's the thing. It's not like this first time. It's like it's happened a few times. I'm like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be cooking, herbs, while multitasking. That's it. Like that's the end. That's the whole I think lesson is, probably shouldn't be multitasking. Should bring his focus strictly to one task, right? Have you ever had a psychological diagnosis? To Johnny Dregs. Yeah, I mean, sure. As a kid, I had many diagnoses, and I have ADHD. Yeah, that's the diagnosis. That being said, that's an interesting question. Because let's be real here, it's diagnosis or not. Do you think just having a simple diagnosis actually goes deeper to understand like the deeper dimensions of how the psyche operates? Like if you understand anything about the nature of the mind or yourself or doing your own integration, your own shadow work, do you think a simple diagnosis through a doctor or through a psychiatrist actually reflects the deeper domain of where your psyche's at? How it's evolving, how you are personally integrating it. So I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. Like, do you actually put a lot of depth and weight into that? It's actually a smart question before investing any time. Interesting. So it's a smart question to ask random people. I wanna level with you, Johnny Degs. Is yes in some right. You're right in some partially. It's good. It's valid to be like, you know what? Let's ask if a person has a psychological level of competence or is has any level of regulation. Are they psychologically regulated? Let's say that we agree that it's good to value that. But is blatantly asking every person that you come across if they've had a psychological diagnosis, is that really the move? I would say no. I would say not only are you putting too much weight in a psychiatric or psychological diagnosis, because that is not the, I would say, discerning factor to how people's well-being is. That's actually, if you're saying that's the blanket statement, like you're saying like, yes, if a person's taking a psychological diagnosis and that's translating to what you need to know about a person's well-being or where a person's at within themselves, just doing that right off the cuff, that's insane, brother. And assuming that that's like the way that you're diagnosing other people or you know making assumptions of who you should not engage with, that's absurdity. I'll say that right now. I'm not saying that's the entirety of what's going on, but like what a bizarre way to live. You advertised, learn your role. I'm trying to find the real word in your word solid. Damn, brother. You're digging yourself a deep hole, brother. I'll be honest here, Johnny. If you understand anything about psychology, like you're here, right? You've said a number of statements, but if you understand anything of what you're doing, is you're projecting. You're literally revealing all these domains in the choices of how you're unpackaging these things. Like, look at you. You're continuing the same thing, brother. Like you've already, yeah. Please, yeah, leave. You're not my target audience. You need to leave. I'm gonna ban your comment sections permanently. Make sure you do not return. But I gotta say, brother, you said a whole lot more about yourself. You've said a lot about yourself, Johnny. Like, brother, I'm a streamer. I've been a streamer for several months, new to this portal. But when we come across people like Johnny that are literally here, like revealing a bunch of negative projections, it says a lot about you. It's not a personal endeavor. Like you requesting a psychological diagnosis, again, that's a red flag, brother. If that's the first thing you approach, when you're on a date or something, or you're meeting strangers and you go, all right, what's your psychological diagnosis based on, the psychological model or a therapeutic model? That's a red flag, brother. Then when you're continuing to reveal all these projections about your own inabilities and insecurities to successfully discern human beings, that says even more about your character. That says nothing to do with me or the stranger that you're requesting a psychological diagnosis. Like, if you're still here, I hope you've left because you're not welcome on this channel anymore, brother. But the reality is, like, you're saying more about yourself in your insecurities and your projections than I could ever, have to say about you, Johnny Dredd is. So keep that in mind, brother. And again, I took that with the utmost sincerities. I'm holding space for you, being like, yeah, like, so in a neutralistic way, you requesting a psychological diagnosis is a lot about you. Doesn't say a whole lot about, what this person's, psyche is in relation to this one-dimensional diagnosis. But you requesting that and then carrying on such as you are, that actually says a lot about you, weirdly enough. So that's some psychology for you, brother, because you're clearly a little bit obsessed or invested, let's say. He's very invested in people's psychology. Red flag, though. I'll be honest. Johnny Dredge, that sounds like some weird manipulative shit. Like, dead ass. Like, don't even take that with a grain of salt. Like, we're just here riffing, openly conveying this at face value. But that seems like Johnny Dredge is actually attempting to manipulate people when he's literally being like, what is your psychological diagnosis? And then judging them or trying to, like, make some weird, crass assumption of who they are. It seems like that's a manipulative tactic that he's trying to, unsuccessfully, my man, but he's laying it out. So keep in mind, be wary of people like Johnny. If a person's trying to basically attach some level of some sort of like one-dimensional assumption or assessment of who they are based on a system that's not operating that way, you can be safe to say that people like Johnny are probably trying to manipulate you. Food for thought. I don't know. It's interesting. This is, again, I'm not looking at it from anything but a neutralistic stance, but I think that's intriguing. Oof. One sec, I gotta remaster my audio. My audio did some weird little thinger here. Okay, I think our audio's back. I think our audio's back in full effect. That was very interesting, though. That was very interesting. I gotta say, I thank Johnny for bringing that presence, for bringing that level of polarity. To be like, you know what? He had a stance that I think was actually very malicious. Not even like, not taking it personal, not even invested in it. He was literally portraying a person, for example, that was like trying to offer like an immediate jumping into a one-dimensional system and being like, oh, so what is your psychological diagnosis? And then trying to almost make some sort of like assessment of who they are as a person based on a psychological diagnosis. Like that's, I don't know, honestly, like not even getting invested in, that's absurd. Like that's actually so funny. I don't know where he got that in his mind, but that's a very backwards way of understanding people or even trying to start any sort of interaction. And honestly, I empathize for those people that are trying to be on the other side of an interaction with Johnny that don't have the self-awareness to see what he's trying to do. Like, that sucks. Anyways, back to the regular program. Alexander Misko, style guitar. Where'd this little smudge come from? It's 111 right now. How beautiful. Psyche means soul in Greek. Very nice. Johnny Drags, the name says it all. The Drags. Yeah, Johnny Drags. Honestly, I was entertaining homie. I was like literally like, yo, let's hear him out. Let's hear what he has to say. And he dug a hole even deeper every little statement he said. It was like clear. He was revealing this really weird, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, just malicious. Like, he was unpackaging a very malicious stance that honestly, I was like, whoa, brother. Like, do you even understand, like, how weird and insecure and negative projective or negatively, how negatively you're portraying yourself with your negative projections? Like, it was hilarious. I was like, brother, like, but again, all that aside, like, let's assume Johnny is I don't know, an outstanding citizen or upstanding citizen. That first statement of him being like, hey, what's your psychological diagnosis? Like, I need to know. This is an important, smart question. That's what he said. Like, I don't know. I'm going to let it go and continue playing guitar because this is a guitar channel. But I found that really entertaining that the homie's like, what is your psychological diagnosis? And again, I'm assuming he does this to everyone. He does this to every YouTuber, probably people in his real life. Assuming. Again, that's assumption. That's quite the assumption. But he's literally asking, what is your psychological diagnosis? And then he's following that up by saying, oh, it's a smart question. It's smart. It's not just a statement that's like a one-dimensional narrative of a therapeutic, assessment or using a therapeutic model against people, but he's literally being, no, but this is smart. No, this is a smart way to apparently approach interacting with people when you first meet them, being like, hey, what's your diagnosis? How unwell is your psychological state based on a system? Genius. Like, Johnny's like freaking, he's on to something. He's clearly not unconsciously trying to manipulate people. Clearly not. He's a smart guy, because he said so. Johnny said he was smart. He said that's the smart way to care about, is judging people based on their psychological diagnosis. What a guy. Anyways, I just find that really entertaining, honestly. If someone did that in the real world, like, I would be like looking at him like, what? Like, brother, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'd be like, I think you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out this whole social dynamic thing that you are working on. Yeah, I've had this idea. Are you really what? Wonderful guy. I don't know, dog. Johnny is a rage baiter. He's miserable with himself. Maybe. I don't know. Again, we can't say. What are the best books you've read, and how many books have I read? I've read many books. But lately, brother, let's see. I've never been openly, I advocate this book a lot. It's a Joe Dispenza book. Now, the book itself is a little bit dense. Joe Dispenza likes to underline neurological terms and kind of or he likes to have like psychological testimonies about how his work is, played out in other people's lives. I think that's a very interesting take on it. If you're a person that has a wide diversity of, I don't know, experiencing your own sort of emotional turmoil, it may be really helpful to have testimonies. But the essence of what Joe Dispenza does in this book, which I really love, is he explains basically the relationship between the neurology that is going on, that is present, that is like your brain waves, the alpha brain waves, the theta brain waves, very, very valuable stuff to learn about, and how it relates to your sleep, and more so, how it relates to how your brain waves can be shifted based on your emotional state. And then he goes in connecting the dots between how metaphysical philosophy underlines the quantum theory, and how quantum particles operate. And the basis of it is basically letting us know that if let yourself understand how to embrace the unknown, that is, you realize that the mass majority of how the universe operates and how most things are unraveling is actually existing in the non-material world, which is in the unknown. It's like the unknown. If you think about it, you're like, you know what? I'm going to go to this place. I don't know why. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know what's going to happen. That is actually aligning yourself with the unknown, which then opens up basically a bunch of unknown variables that align with how you can basically more effectively manifest things. It's not as simple as that. It's a very complex parallel, but we're talking about, metaphysical philosophy meeting neuroscience. Very beautiful book. I would highly recommend it. Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. But also, there's a lot of books. I read a lot of lucid dreaming books. That's what I'm really into. Oh no, like, for those of you that it may have gone over your head to some degree, like what was happening with that little interaction with Johnny, make no mistake, that dude was not a chatbot. And make no mistake, he was not rage baiting, he was not trolling. That dude, like, I don't know, if you were picking up the context of what was going on there, he was genuinely hopping on a stream in a neutral way. Like, trust me, if he was there, like, I don't know, this is just my 2 cents. Take it with a grain of salt, do your own assessment of what was occurring. But if this conversation unraveled, he was just like, hey, what's your psychological assessment? And you go, oh yeah, I went to a psychiatrist and I'm XYZ disorder, or this is what my psychological assessment is. What's your psychological assessment? I'm telling you, without a shadow of a doubt, that is a fellow, based on the way his interactions unraveled, that dude is basically trying to use your psychological assessment as a means to basically strong arm or manipulate you. Like that's exactly what was going on. Trust me. It's like this dude was literally being like, "What's your psychological assessment?" And I basically just poked holes in his narrative immediately. I was just like calling him out on it, being like, "Hey, why would you try to pretend that, just out of conversational standpoint, it wasn't me being like, hey, it's me versus Johnny. It was me being like, for a conversational point, why would you pretend that asking someone's psychological assessment is not only an appropriate way to start a conversation or to even gauge who they are? Like if if we're talking about this broadly, if you understand anything about psychology, if you go to a psychiatrist or a therapist and they're like, hey, let's do a psychological assessment, they break down, okay, maybe you have a depressive disorder, maybe you are XYZ on this spectrum. These are not black and white ultimatums on how you are as a person. They're psychological ranges of how you show up based on this interaction with your therapist, which is a private, I would say, container, if you will. It's basically, long story short, it's not a homie's business what people's psychological assessments. The fact that he led a conversation with it, he was attempting to basically do a power dynamic. It's a manipulation tactic. He was literally just being like, okay, what is your psychological assessment, with the intent to try to flip the thing, to basically be like, oh wait, so you're psychologically stable, amazing. So now when he carries out through this conversation, he can act like this is some sort of like point of reference. Again, that's what would have happened if I was just playing into his little game. Not to get too invested in it. I'm just saying this is interesting stuff. Like I'm almost absurd. It's absurd that that even happened. That's what he's doing. He's popping on streams and trying to like strong arm with his psychological assessment little tactic to manipulate people. Like I'm guaranteeing that's what he's doing. So he's not a troll. He's not a chat bot. That's a real person. That's a real person. Real people who are, manipulative pieces of shit. That's what they're trying to do. And it is what it is. Like I don't think he's the devil, but that's a weird tactic. Anyways, back to the Alexander Misko bass riffs. Sometimes I don't get notifications when I go live. Oh, word. Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, I don't really want everyone, like all my 1,800 or whatever followers, I don't think I want them to have me on their notifications because I go live all the time at random ass times. Like, I think personally, like as a, if I was as a YouTube consumer, if I had a viewer or a YouTuber that went live like twice a day or three times a day sometimes, random bouts, random times, multiple hours a day, I don't know if I would want them to be. So it's like I don't take it personally if people don't have their notifications on because I'm going live a lot, but I'm always appreciative when I obviously have my regular people. Just like in the same sense where if I see YouTubers that I really like or enjoy and they release content or they go live, I'm like, all right, let's go check out what they're doing. It's like I have a genuine curiosity. There's no expectation, but I find it very curious. Only I can request you about music. Interesting. Yeah, no, I'm not a cover artist, but I appreciate that. I appreciate the sincere compliment or the sincere interest, but yeah. Yeah, yeah. Plus, I literally said they're both charming. Yeah. I am a chatbot. Just scroll live a lot and found the girl version of him. Nice. Neutral entertainment with music is super interesting. Absolutely, Leia. Appreciate that. That's what I try to hold space for a majority of the time. Is like, I'm just trying to offer like a nice, safe space and do meditative sound journeys. Like I do meditative styles of music that I just improvise. It's all live improv, so it's like if you're just like, I want to go on YouTube and hear what musicians around the world are playing. That's kind of what this channel is emphasizing. But of course, I'm also not I'm not a chatbot or I'm not a robot. I'm a human, so I'm gonna do human stuff. I'm gonna say, whatever flows through. I'm just gonna interact with my audience just for the sake of it. Yeah. Yeah, but no, I mean, just to sort of conclude, I think to Billy, I appreciate your intention, brother, and I agree it's good to just like write off, things of those nature that probably like projective in the nature of it. But I think that was an interesting point of a point of reference to be like, you know what? Wow, what an interesting interaction that I think deserves to have some light shed upon. That was again like a weird sort of psychological tactic it seemed, but it's interesting. Again, it's not even about me being like, whoa, this is so intense and so egregious. It's just like it's entertaining. I'm like, wow, I can't believe in real time we get to experience that level of interaction. Plus, I literally said they're both charming. Sweet. It's getting a bit experimental, so might be a little sloppy here or there, but welcome back to my projection, brother. Very nice. Sweet projection. Basically an all-rounder. Interesting. The words you're choosing to say are very interesting. But I'm all about it. Thank you. Thank you, Hannah, or HMA. Have you ever thought of being an actor? I am an actor, but not a good actor. But yeah, yeah. I work in the film industry. That's actually what I did before I decided to become a full-time YouTuber. is I work in the film industry. I do like commercials, mainly background acting, but I've done some regular acting. But again, I'm pretty new to acting. I don't really consider myself an actor. I'm just like new to the world of acting. Something different and interesting about your energy, and you're so different. Your communication. Others are more communicative. Thank you, Keys. I can say to that is naturally I'm a student of many things, you know, a student of philosophies or a student of life, if you will, which is a kind of very standard sort of broad thing to say, but or cliche almost thing. But yeah, I'm a student of like philosophy, student of communication, student of creative domains. I would say those are things that seem to translate very well into each other. Whoa. It's interesting. That was cool as fuck. Wow. I'm literally just in some way trying to like almost emulate what Alexander Misko does and a lot of percussive artists. I'm gonna quickly just use the washroom, but it's a vibe. Yeah, that sounds very comprehensive. Like that's what I'm really noticing in real time with Alexander Misko's style of what he chooses to do with his like one-handed singular finger bass riffs and doing like emphasis on the bass riffs. It's very dynamic and progressive, where it progresses very well. Where it's like the emphasis can be like one hand you're doing percussive hits and the other hand you're doing single bass riffs, and that's like building up energy, and then when the energy hits an apex, you can just boom go into all these other techniques that really complement it beautifully. Yeah, but I appreciate that, Key Masters. That's a kind thing to say, brother. Again, I try to just be, as it were, a student of like many different creative realms, and they all sort of seem to encompass and stream into each other. And acting, and acting is a very beautiful creative realm. And being a part of the film industry, I meet a lot of actors, and I really appreciate the way. I'm an actor, but not a very good actor. Hilarious. Ron, hope you try to stand up. Your reply, you were so fast. You'd be good at crowd work. Fair, fair. I gotta say that's part of the fun of being a streamer is like I get to exercise in some rights. Hopefully not too much, but I get to like roast trolls or say witty stuff to them in real time, which is awesome. Like when else do I get time to do that? I'll be right back. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's very interesting. You know, the parallel that I think is really relevant, sort of speaking to almost like, you know, if you understand comedians like Matt Rife, right? And it's a similar thing, I think, with improv acting, where if you really look closely what Matt Rife is doing, like in a lot of his crowd work type stuff, is like it really is just him playfully letting himself unpackage his own sort of like witty retorts or his own like remarks that is cleverly unpackaging what they're saying in such a way. And it's almost like it's a definitely like it's not even about what he's saying per se, it's about how he's saying. And I find it very intriguing. It's basically you can learn a lot from comedians like Matt Rife. If you really like see the style of how he's like doing his crowd work, some of it's his own thing. You know, he's very playfully maybe unpackaging this kind of like, I don't know what you'd say. You could say like flirtatious, kind of like social dynamic between men and women or whatever. But he's doing his own thing. But it's interesting how the way he's doing it is so, I'd say, subtle but intelligent, where he's just approaching, yeah, almost like an improv comedy type thing, which it is obviously improv comedy. But it's like if you look at what that is, basically anyone can do that and see how he's doing it in an intelligent way where everybody wins. Like he's using a comedic flair to it, but everyone gets to playfully sort of, you know, poke fun at whatever it is he's saying. I mean, he takes it to an extreme because he's a stand-up comedy or comedian and he's doing an act. But yeah, it's hilarious. Ryan the troll roasting, yeah. I mean, that wasn't what I gotta say. To that domain, that wasn't even me roasting a troll per se. I mean, that's you could say it's a similar type of thing, but that was more me just using, you know, some dude who popped on the stream that was just had some weird sort of malicious agenda, if you were. Even take out the word malicious. It was just a dude, you know, that came on and had a weird agenda. That was just saying, like, he started the interaction with, you know, asking about what is your psychological diagnosis and being like, no, this is a really smart question, like, answer the question, etc., etc. I didn't take that, you know, I took it neutralistically. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ADHD, blah, blah, blah. But unpackaging that, what he was doing surely was an agenda. Like he was clearly doing it in a very weird, again, we could even say manipulative way, which I found very entertaining. It wasn't me being like, whoa, like damn, let's lose our heads about that. But I was like, whoa, homie's actually like genuinely, it's almost absurd how he's actually going into interactions leading with that. And I found that very entertaining. So it wasn't me roasting him per se. It was using his almost level of ignorance, or maybe his, you know, his very broken understanding of the psyche and his own insecurities and projections that he was bringing as a launch off point to sort of observe what was going on in the social dynamic that was present there. That was present there. Do you ever think you'll be a professional actor? I mean, in short, probably not, but not because I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, maybe, who knows? It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice in the very realistic sense if you want to be like a full-fledged actor. Yeah, maybe I'll get to a point. This is actually part of my plan is once I succeed as a YouTuber, I will in fact actually start to just do some acting classes and do commercials. Like that's what I would love to do because they pay very well. They're very fun, they're very playful. They take like mid-level acting. They're not like, you know, prestigious levels of acting. You can basically get paid very well to do some very entry-level acting and you have a lot of fun, you meet cool people. So I would love to do, yeah, commercial acting and see where that goes, if that goes anywhere, which may make me get to the level of a professional level of acting, but I'm never going to be like, all right, I'm going to be a movie star and invest my entire livelihood into acting. I don't think that's going to happen. I want to do that with everything else but acting. Like acting is kind of like a playful exploration that I enjoy, but I don't intend to devote myself to. Very intentionally so, though. And it is what it is. Some people, they do want to do that. They want to devote themselves and sacrifice everything to become an actor. And hey, that's beautiful. Like if they're a devoted human being and they apply themselves, sky's the limit. Hey, I got a Jewish and I'm American. We got a Jew and I'm American. Armenian. Oh, we got a Jewish. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, brother, but thank you. I appreciate that, Harbinger. It was a good song, yeah. Let's resume what we were doing here musically. And Oi, welcome. Shalom. Very cool. That's awesome, brother. Yeah, the homies. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, that's oh, Shalom is Jewish. That makes sense. I hear that sometimes. Homie or people pop on, they say some, deep poetic stuff, but I forgot, didn't make ever that connection that that's a Jewish thing. That's amazing. Oi, what's good? Welcome, Temple. There we go. There we go. Let's master that a little bit. All right, let's try to resume what we're doing here. Kind of sloppily trying to do this like Alexander Misko single finger bass riff. Yeah. In bathroom, yes. What ethnicity matters is neither ethnicity. It's very true. It's very true, brother. It's very true. I do not, desire to pass judgment from people from their ethnicity or orientation or religious, this, that, political stance. Like, those things I like to remove from this channel, from open discussion. I desire people to focus on a creative expression related things and music related things. But I truly disconnected and then reconnected. There's good and bad people of all different ethnicities and religions and etc. So I think it's important to be open-hearted. What is good? What is good? Happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. Like Matt, he's great at getting crowd at ease. Nice. Yeah. All right, let's give this a go. not trying to challenge myself here, but it's going pretty well. I'm getting the flow. I'm getting the flow there. I think you may be an empath, so people tend to reflect to see themselves in you. I feel experience that very often. Yeah, sure, sure. I've never truly. I think you're right in some regards. I've never truly tried to unpackage that too deeply of being like empath. Like I think all people are empathetic in the deepest sense, but yeah, like our original nature is empathy. But for those that fail to have healthy awareness of boundaries or energetic boundaries in relation to their empathy, they can suffer and maybe feel like they can associate that with, yeah, like an increased dimension of empathy. I don't know, but you're probably right. Some people have a heightened sense of empathy. I've surely been a person that's very heightened sensitivity to a mass majority of things. That's just always the way I've been. Um, I see it as a good thing. You know, I can experience life in its wholeness and really appreciate all the little nuances. But no, with that, nah, homie was not. That's the thing I want to make clear is, it was just a dude that seemed to have a weird agenda. It wasn't even like the dude was popping on, trolling. I would say, yeah, we could say to Tess Temple saying he's like a bad apple. Let's call him a bad apple. That's a fun way of, you know, framing that. But I don't think he was like a malicious. He wasn't like being malicious per se, in the most immediate sense. But that's what was so entertaining was this dude was unpackaging this like almost like malicious agenda in a very subtle way, which I found very interesting. And again, in the simplest right, it's almost like I was diffusing a person that was trying to almost create some sort of weird, I don't know, interaction dynamic. It's again, I take it with a grain of salt. It wasn't even about the interaction. It wasn't like I was like, oh damn, this dude was being, egregious or offensive, and then I sent him on his way. But it was like I could see how he was trying to unpackage this weird dynamic that I think he had an agenda, and then I sent him on his way before it even occurred that way, or even before they got there. It was a very interesting interaction, let's say. Yeah, people have been chill as fuck though. There's been really no truly uh, projective trolls here. A little bit sloppy here, but good, fun dynamic. I love the progressive realms. Setting on love and light. Sure, yeah. Yeah, sure, yeah. Again, that's not the stance I would play. I don't think he deserves love and light. Absolutely, Temple. Like, homie, definitely, wherever he is, we hope he unpackages whatever he's doing. He returns to a place of love and light. Yeah, sure. But in the simplest right, I don't think that was the. I'm not sure if that. I don't think he's gonna receive that message loud and clear right away. It seemed like the homie was unpackaging a little bit of, let's say, manipulative tendencies that I think were very interesting. And the moment that I kind of just poked that at and like pointed out, almost like just in a very neutral way, the absurdity of what he was doing, he went on his way. So I don't even know if he would be receptive, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful sentiment nonetheless. Beautiful sentiment nonetheless. I see all your messages, my guy. Mr. Bad Apple sending love. Lots of, yeah, I see YouTube bug. Yeah, YouTube, they like to bug. They like to bug out. But yeah, not to impose a label. Can you play Rec, Edward? Can't say now to perform that. No, that's fair, brother. I like that connection, and I agree to. I personally like when I think of what an empath is. I've come to sort of see that I'm not sure if empaths are necessarily even real. Like, I think, I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert. I haven't put a lot of thought into it. But surely I'm an empathetic person, maybe just extra sensitive to certain things. That's just the way I've always been. I'm an artist. I've spent many years literally unpackaging my relationship with complex emotions and, just basically honoring the presence in my emotions, etc., etc. But I can't necessarily say if empaths are necessarily even like an actual thing. It's almost like we're all empathetic in nature, and for people to almost like maybe yes, there is correct. There are certain people that are actually like they sit in the definition of a person that is like truly extra sensitive, and it's like to a very fine degree they have like heightened capability to receive all things, and they see it as a strength, and who knows how they play it out. But it's almost like just because you're a person that has extra receptivity and sensitivity to things doesn't mean that all the quintessential definitions of like, oh, you're extra empathetic, so maybe you feel things more deeply and that's hindering, or maybe people will project negativity to you, or be attracted to project negativity. That all of those things I think are stipulations that you basically need to put in perspective. Like, it's like, you could be an empathetic person, but you have healthy awareness of boundaries. You know yourself. You have a strong awareness of boundaries, and none of the negative qualities even remotely apply. Where it's like you're empathetic, but people wouldn't see almost like you being as an extra sensitive empath because you have such a strong awareness of how to basically integrate your empathy. You don't treat empathy as like a almost like a means of people sort of trying to take advantage of you, or it's like you have a healthy awareness of how that plays out in real time. It's like you're empathetic, but you're also, you know, I get emotionally intelligent. I don't know. Again, that's just me riffing about it. I just remember hearing about people talking about empaths and saying that apparently it's not necessarily, there's a theory that it's not a real thing. So we're all empathetic in nature. When we all return to our higher expression of self, we all become deeply receptive and empathetic. And it's not necessarily that some people are more empathetic than others, but some people are cut off from that natural source of being receptive to what is. But I don't know. Who knows? I now grade the trolls in my school. I rewrite the insults to better and show them grammar through insults, and then realize I'm secretly teaching English. Well, that's great, Billy. That seems like a very good cause. Always, brother. It's honestly no matter. Yeah, that's if there's anything that I can try to pass on to my viewers is yeah, you can basically use trolls as a means of learning. It's a learning experience where you can for yourself, you can learn how to not take things personally, and introduce some comedic humor, but also use it as a launch off point to teach everyone about whatever is going on there, the social dynamic that's at play. And I'm a strong believer in that. So whether you're teaching people about the English language, or teaching people how to communicate, which is probably what you're basically just doing there, I think that's an arduous uh, it's a great goal. That's a very beautiful goal. It's an arduous intention, or that's maybe not the word, but I don't know. Hey Billy, that's awesome. You see my messages further up. Let's see. YouTube bug. I saw the message about the deletion of the comments. I really doubt this narrative. Yeah, it's tragic. Apparently he was unlived himself. Oh wow. David Wilcock. Oh wow, I did not see that somehow. According to reports, he was very against ending the life for karmic reasons, but he said in his last stream the day before that. Wow. That's heavy. I don't even know who David Wilcock is. But based on the context, I can imagine, yeah, so he's a streamer, ended his life. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, brother. Hmm. I. Yeah. It actually makes them cry. Listen to this words. Again, like, I think when I was early on to streaming, like a month in streaming, I unpackaged, because I've never had to deal with trolls in my life, truthfully. Like, well, I mean, in the real world, sure, like, we all deal with them in some regard, like, in some way when you're not a YouTuber. But as a YouTuber that has chosen to make the executive decision to be a streamer for the first time in my life, for several months, every day, multiple hours a day, I'm streaming, and I come across the 1-2% that happen to be trolls. I've come to see very quickly that people that are trolling, like the true trolls, not the people that are projecting these negative narratives or passively aggressively throwing them, that's a little bit of a type of troll. But the true ones, the ones that are compulsively saying nonsense, like they pop in, they say some nonsense, some ignorance, maybe hate speech, who knows, those people, you can say without a shadow of a doubt, they all sit in one category where they, for whatever reason, have failed to learn how to effectively regulate themselves. And the product of this is their inability to communicate, like a human being in the real world. Like that's the essence of what's going on. Majority of the time, sure, they're human beings. Maybe they're just going through a stressful bout and they're operating out of that sort of place. But the same thing is all present. Is they're being compulsive, which means they don't think about what they're saying. They're doing it from an unconscious place. Maybe it's because they're miserable. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they just suck at communicating. Like they've never really learned how to effectively communicate, and that is what it is. But what I'm saying is that's a beautiful lesson. Like what a beautiful lesson. We can all sit there and be like, whoa. For whatever reason, this fellow human being has chosen to show up in this way. And absolutely, we can take away whatever it is they're trying to teach us. We don't have to take it personally and be like, whoa, this person said this about me, or this person said this about, this, I don't know, ideology or religious thing or political party, whatever they're saying. It's like, you can be certain that these people, they suck at communicating. They failed to communicate. Because whatever they're communicating, it's not from a place of self-awareness. It's not from a place of constructive this or that. It's from a compulsive place. And that sucks. That's unfortunate because, let's be real here, that's a very real problem extending beyond trolls, right? A lot of us, if not the mass majority of us, we all understand to some degree what it looks like to operate out of a compulsive place. Like, that's the truth. You look at yourself and you're like, wait, so if I did something in my life where I'm just, not really sure of why I'm doing it, maybe it's coming from a suppressed, emotionally suppressed or physically suppressed place, you act out of compulsivity. And yeah, trolls, they're just that. They're people that are unable to communicate effectively, so then they're compulsively acting out. And sure, there's other people. That's why I found it very entertaining that this other fellow that popped in early on the stream, he wasn't even being that like, unhinged, and he wasn't like a troll per se. He was something else, which I found very interesting. It wasn't like homie wasn't trying to just like say some compulsive hate speech or something crazy like that. No, he was doing something I would say is a lot more malicious, and I just found that entertaining. I was like, whoa, look what we have here. Like we have, it's like an iguana or like a freaking what's it called? It's a rarity, it's a rarity in nature. Like the dude's like an anomaly in nature. Anyway, beautiful. He was in the show Ancient Aliens. Oh, maybe I do know who this is. I worked in a crazy school, my first on the kids, and they were in the last school before the state took them right from them, and they were all criminals. I had to teach them from last chance to learn. Ah, yeah, I know those kind of schools. Oh. But yeah, that's very interesting you speak about that, Billy. Because yeah, that's exactly relevant. That's relevant. Where people that excuse me, that operate out of like compulsive narratives. Like if we're being really clear about this is a very like rampart epidemic in our society. Why? Well, a lot of reasons. Things like, compulsively engaging in games, impulsively engaging in, well, adult film industry related content, compulsively engaging in just scrolling through social media apps and your phone and this, that, that is often what breeds compulsive activity. It's the same, right, where, people maybe that are compulsive gamblers or compulsive criminals or compulsive, klepto or something, which fits in the same category, is a lot of people in our society seem to be suffering from compulsive activity. And there's very real reasons for this. Like, this isn't just a random phenomenon where people are just like, I woke up one day and suddenly I'm now the product of a compulsive life. It's there's very real psychological reasons for this. But yeah, people that are, in a society where society or the school system has kind of failed them, so to speak, so they're in a alternate school or a criminal type of school or a criminal oriented type of school, or maybe not even criminal, but compulsive action type school, you can be certain that, yeah, those kids are 1000% in that same domain where they're struggling, like they're struggling to really effectively communicate themselves. And the core of it is they're failing to communicate their own needs, their own baser needs of how they can operate in a society. And the way they then get those needs met is by acting compulsively, whether it's, acting out by saying egregious things to try to get attention, or acting out, maybe doing things that are borderline criminal. And like, that's unfortunate. Those people don't need, like, to be shamed or judged, or acting like what they're fundamentally actually seeking is wrong, but they need awareness. They just need awareness. It's the same way where if someone's addicted to gambling or scrolling through their phone or whatever it is, their choice of poison, they don't need necessarily, well, they don't need basically enabling. They don't need people that are just like, oh, okay, just keep doing what you're doing, it's okay. They need a little level of accountability, especially, man to man. Men need accountability, like fucking, like it's, yeah, like it's like water. They need that shit when they're in that instance. But further, they need awareness. They need awareness to be like, wait a second, is there a better way of navigating the desire to have their needs fulfilled? Like, if they need emotional support, if they need healthy community or intimacy or brotherhood or healthy familial context, these are baser needs that humans deserve to have met. But when people have these needs failed, when they fail to have these needs met, they often suppress these needs and then they act out. They operate out of this compulsive realm. And that's in the simplest right, is when a person comes in here and, acts out of line, where there's like, oh, I'm going to say some compulsive nonsense or project all this negativity. That's their little way of trying to, it's like basically a cry out for help, where they're like, I don't know how to communicate. I don't know how to figure out how to, I don't know, attain healthy community connection, or I don't know how to connect with this person, or I don't know how to operate in a healthy functional way with this social media paradigm. So then this is what I'm now doing. Like, that's what they're saying without saying it. So you can be certain that a lot of what these people need is they need healthy awareness. They need awareness shed on their action. They don't need, people that enable or give into their narratives, and get triggered by their crazy compulsive actions. No, they need people that see through it. Like, I see what you're actually saying. I see what you're actually doing here. So let's have a conversation about it. Like, let's shed some awareness to what's the underlying pattern of why you're acting in such a way. And then everybody learns, all right? And it's the same right when we're talking about, people that are, often I'm assuming people are youth, like they're youth, like going through their teenage or their young adult years, and they're the ones in packaging a lot of these compulsive narratives. But they don't know why they're acting out of such a dysfunctional, egregious place. They don't know why they're scrolling through their phones unconsciously, saying compulsive nonsense to strangers. They don't know why they're doing it. Like, they really don't. If they did, they probably wouldn't be doing it. But it's like they just need a little bit of a little poke, a little awakening. Like, wait a second, is this really what you want to be doing? Is this really like the course of action you want to go with? And the answer is probably not. My cells can help me find solutions happening in the world. I can change it within rather than the effort ingredients in the outer world. I really like that. I like that, Harbinger. I work in a crazy school of the UFO truther stream. Wow. That's really cool. I have to say, thank you for sharing that, Temple. So, a person that was revealing truths. I mean, I would think in modern 2026, excuse them a little bit still, my sinuses have been kind of, yeah. But to see, in modern 2026, we're pretty clear cut about the fact that UFOs exist. It's not a conspiracy anymore. Like, what's going on in our extraterrestrial allies or brethrens, or maybe they're our enemies, who knows, but like our extraterrestrial neighbors, they obviously exist, and they've been doing all these interesting little interventions and experiments. I don't know, I'm not a massive UFO oriented dude, but it's obvious in this modern 2026 that I don't think, they would be desiring to filter or censor people that are openly speaking about, these dimensions of truth relating to extraterrestrials. But he was the 12th scientist disappearing working on anti-gravity technology. Wow. That's really interesting. I don't know what to say about that. He was the guy who said something about these blue chicken alien temples. It started a huge fight in the UFO community. Whoa. Wow. That's wow. Let's put that over here. Trying to integrate these rhythmic elements. It's going kind of, but also, yeah. Why thank you, miss. You taking requests for songs? I do not quintessentially do requests. I don't do covers, but I do interpretations or like songs influenced interpreted from songs. But yeah, I'm not a cover artist. I appreciate that though.
My therapist said something to me about a year ago.
Whoa, ads hitting me with ads. I don't want to promote ads on my second YouTube window. Yes, yes. Yeah. Got a soothing voice. And I live in the hat. I live in the hat. Nice. Thank you. Yes, Ryan, the only way to stop the bad behavior is to shock them out of it. I would say dominance and insulting behavior is learned in the home. Makes the room very quiet. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's situation by situation. It's good to be, I think in any instance where you're dealing with like negative projections, emotional intelligence, knowing oneself, and self-awareness will always be king. So if a person pops in, they're like, blah, 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 blah. The best and most immediate thing you can do is not take it personal at all. Like literally be like, oh, nothing to do with me. And know that. Not even just say it, but you know. And And if you desire to take it further by examining their behavior and yeah, poking holes in the little projective narrative, do it, all day long. That can be very fruitful for them and for you, especially if you're a YouTube streamer. But, not always the case. You also have the freedom to disconnect, to either revoke their comments or realize that you don't have to give them your attention or your energy at all. Like if a person's trying to, project their own negativity, it's up to you to really, I can revoke their power by basically just focusing on being present, doing what I desire to do. But for me, I'm a student of human behavior, so I enjoy, in many rights, in a creative, clever way. Sometimes, not always, just kind of breaking down what's going on for the class being us, and metaphorically. But you can be certain that moving forward as a channel, like when I am juggling thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, like as a larger context, I'm definitely going to be setting the behavior where I don't want to just engage too much with random projections and trolls. I do that because this is a small channel. I have that leisure. I can connect intimately and create little interesting interactions. But on a larger scale, when I'm just creating meditative sound journeys and managing a larger construct of people, then I'm just going to take the high road, so to speak, invariably. Mods will boot them immediately, and I'll just continue doing what I'm doing and kind of pretend they don't exist. Play music. It's fun stuff, though. It's entertaining. Like, again, I have immediately seen it as a very entertaining way to practice improv comedy. Remember, perfection is not real. All those mistakes are me trying to do something that's new and out of my realm, just ever so slightly. One-handed tapping isolations is kind of weird. At least when you're doing it as the way I'm trying to do it. Of course, when you're synchronizing rhythm, it becomes a little more tricky. It becomes very fun, though. It's very fun. Yes, Ryan, the only way. Yes, yes. Sending you healing right now, Ryan. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm already feeling great. As we sort of, figured out, it's really comes down to I had some sort of allergic reaction from I'm assuming it's my brother burnt some herbs and the toxins released it was almost identical to when it happened, and this has happened before. So I had some sort of allergic reaction. It was like a sinus infection that lasted 24 hours, literally 24 hours in and out. I felt like I was had a flu or something, like body chills, phlegm, this and that, whatever, and then it just disappeared within 24 hours. Like, oh damn, am I sick now? And then suddenly I'm not. So I'm fortunate. I woke up today. I feel great. Like physically, I feel amazing. I feel like I'm not sick at all. I have a little bit of a plugged sinus, but that's just I feel like it's the It's the concluding symptoms. But I appreciate that, dog. Look at all those blue chickens playing in my head. Whoa. Boy, thank you. Thank you, Michael. It's a beautiful natural sound. The new singles. Yeah. I have yet to check those out, yeah. I appreciate you sharing, brother. Reality is a game. You get unlimited respawn until you get it right and leave in this level of conscious experience. Wow. Yes, I appreciate I appreciate sharing that. I agree, brother. That's a profound statement. That is true. Reality is a game. It's like a simulation. And yes, I mean, we do get unlimited response, but I must say, if we understand anything about the nature of, well, if we don't really understand, but if we pretend we have an awareness of, we're going to say, of course, there's life after death. There is, you know, past lives, future lives potentially. We can never truly know. We can never truly know how many lives. Like, you can never truly know, will you respawn or reincarnate more so as another human being? You can't really know that. You can never really know how rare it is to be in this body, to be this sentient life form in this time we're in right now. Like, you can never really know that. Like, that's an interesting thought. I remember, I forget who was talking about. I think it was a podcast between two, literates and whatever. They're speaking about this and that. But that's an interesting thought. Is we think yes, reincarnation is real. I agree. I think life after past lives, it's a thing invariably. But how common is it to actually reincarnate as a human, as a sentient human, like as we are? It could be an absolute rarity. It could be like almost an anomalic thing. So to say that yes, unlimited respawns, I don't know about that, brother. We don't necessarily even know for certainty. You think you're gonna reincarnate into a human based, who knows? Like, that could be a rare thing. You could reincarnate as an eagle, which would be beautiful, or as a bird or a snail. Like, you don't really know where your energy is going to reincarnate as. So I mean, it almost just invites you to be like, you know what? This experience is so rare. Like, the fact that you're alive as you are as a sentient being here is beautiful. And we can't know for certain that you're just going to reincarnate as a whole nother human being and live a whole nother life. And it's like, this is very significant, the fact that you're alive here and now. It's a very rare, almost like anomalic thing. That's, yeah, I tend to agree with this, but in a more sacred way. Yeah, each is sacred and important, more to share. Yeah, it's powerful. Hey, thank you, geeky zombie girl. Geeky zombie girl, appreciate the star. Star is a beautiful sentiment. Very nice. A little bit of mistakes here and there. Still trying to navigate those one-handed uh, tapping isolative things, but they're great. What I heard in my head was pretty dope. that can get out of hand very easily. But it's still great. Yeah, for sure, we're dealing with the great amnesia. Yes. Yes, the great amnesia. Yeah, the great amnesia, indeed. It's not personal as they don't know. They make naughty comments, and it's not personal. They're trying to practice something they saw. Yeah. Who knows, like, bro, it's an interesting exercise of empathy, self awareness, when you understand how the younger generation, like, really, like, I've seen this, of course, in real time when I've had, like, little blips of instances of seeing, like, whoa, like, the younger generation, they're in a very weird place. Like, we're talking about, like, the 10 to 15 year olds, young men, assumingly, from my perspective and experience, what they're going through in relation to how they're being programmed, in relation to TikTok, I'm assuming, or whatever weird social media portals going on. I don't know. I don't use TikTok. I don't advocate TikTok at all. But yeah, it seems to be a very weird time to be a young fella, and I empathize. Where I'm like, damn, like, what's really going on here? Like, why are they actually like? What is like being promoted? What sort of narratives, weird psychological domains are they trying to unpackage that you and I could barely even understand? Like, we'd be like, whoa, like that's a whole new level of unconscious materia, or that's a whole new level of like strange, weird, psychological gymnastics that they're sitting there directly rooted within. And it sucks. Like, in some sense, I'm just like, damn, like, I want to hold space for that. Beautiful. Yes. Sending such lovely energy and delight. Why, thank you. Thank you, Amber. Appreciate you deeply. Your presence is very welcome here. Yeah, but as we are, yes. Hello, butterfly. Hi, dark force. Yes, yes. Very sick. Dark force. Yeah, that's the homie's name. Nice. Yeah, some interesting, very beautiful realms of dialogue, or some interesting, yeah, streams of thought. Dark force. Thank you for sharing, dog. We Mr. Flute rattles with two other instruments. Nice. Mr. Flute with rattles. Whoa. Huh. Rattles. Rattles. Yes. I fuck with that. A lot of the time, the trolls are simply looking to fill a void within. Very insightful, but misplacing the origin of where that wholeness can be created. Facts. Yeah. Insightful as ever. I like where this is going. I know it's a little bit flawed here and there, but damn, some potency. Interesting that Earth is designed in such a way that you can manage and break the veil of oblivion and remember past lives. So it is. Yeah, we can. It so appears we can. Yeah. Yeah. Not always, but I'm sure it comes in waves. Yes. Beautiful. I'm not enlightened in any way. It just took too many shrooms. That's insightful, brother. You're on your way. You're on your way. I like your fit. Thank you. Thank you, cooler taste. Appreciate that. I sense the light in you, dark face. What amazes me about the trolls butterflies, they're attracted to the group of humans by the fire, so I think they want to join. That's a powerful statement, Billy. So true. So true. You know, I see that in blips where usually once I revoke their comments or I send them on their way or just kind of, paint some perspective, I'm often like acknowledging, I'm like, you know what? They probably 1000%, like they would love to be like a part of this discussion or conversation or community where it's like they would benefit powerfully, being around fellow human beings that do exercise self-awareness and communication skills and blah blah blah, and maybe musicians, philosophers, all very valuable things for those that are maybe lost in their own sort of projections. But of course, this isn't about necessarily the totality of how these people are or are not present within community spaces. This is a YouTube channel. I manage a YouTube and I have to set clear boundaries. It's not the real world here. But as it is, c'est la vie. Because I agree. When I was very early on, when I was like a month into YouTube, and I would welcome everybody with like a full openness, because like, what, why not? Even people that were borderline unhinged as fuck, I was like, you know what? Let's give this person a little bit of time to air out their projections, see if they desire to be a part of this community. And some of these people, they'll unravel their projections and they'll turn out to be a person that wants to be a part of this community. And I'll let them know the clear boundaries and be like, you know what, you got to practice healthy communication, emotional intelligence. You can't just say unhinged nonsense. And then they'll agree and they're like, you know what, yeah, you know what, I want to be a part of this community. Sometimes more than not, they usually, return to their sort of little unhinged dynamic, and then I just boot them indefinitely. But it's like, yeah, there's a lot of these trolls. They 1000%. They would love to be a part of this community, of course. Like, they're on YouTube for a reason. It's the sort of full circle moment where they're unconsciously navigating these waters of the wilderness that is YouTube, and they absolutely would love to fulfill whatever their subconscious or unconscious projections are trying to guide them towards, or their unconscious compulsive behavior. It's like they want to connect, they want a community build, they want to find something that is authentically rooted, but they just are trying to operate out of a underdeveloped narrative that is what they know. It's all they know. Maybe they're a younger fella, or they have an undeveloped psyche, and it is what it is. Ah, yes. Overhanded fretting, my weakness, my old friend. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think anybody's is naturally good at overhand fretting. It just, overhand tapping, fretting is weird. Like, in most cases, it's not necessary at all, but it sounds cool and it looks cool. So that's why I exist, of course. It looks dope as fuck. Remind me of Heath Ledger. Hey, thank you, dog. Yes, Heath is a gent. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. Good man, Dark Force, in the right place. Nice. We notice each other when we're on the same wavelength. Legendary, absolutely. Yeah, very welcome here, brother. Good man, Dark Force. Absolute to live one life and walk through that path that's each day. We cannot control any other outcome at the end of the day. Truly. Just beautiful presence, and yes, and just acceptance and reverence. I remember several past lives, also confirm them with history checkups. Yeah, I was shown how incarnation works. That's extraordinary. That's a rarity, my guy. What kind of people were you? Yeah, Great Amirja is a weird one we start remembering. I, though, have no clue. Yeah, that's the thing is I have zero vivid recollection, just hunches, like instinct or intuitions of being like, I have a strong feeling that I was this in a past life. Probably quite accurate, but I have zero actual recollection. 100% believe in it though. 100% believe in, you know, recollection of our past lives. It's getting a bit sloppy with these, but yeah, some fun guitar composition dynamics here. Get everything you might need for your spiritual journey now. Dark forest, water, a bed. Then whatever happens, you'll get ready for the food and dilute it if it gets too nuts. This black African woman in the U.S., a lonely Russian guy in Siberia, a British admiral, a bat. Yes, a bat. That's fun. A tribe where I was a hunter, not sure where, maybe Slovakia, way back. That is wild. Wow. That is really wild. I don't know what to say to that. It's beautiful. The hat of transcendentalism. Hey. That's the hat, brother. Yeah, you get it. I have past life audio meditations on my phone. Wow. Hey, brother, that's another YouTube channel waiting to happen. Temple sharing these past experiences. Very cool. That music is kick-ass. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. It's, yeah, honestly, I've been taking a page from Alexander Misko. Whoa, we're at 2:30 now. I think we're going to soon... these 2 hours and 45 minutes just flew by. I gotta say, I think what we're going to do is we're going to, in the next, like, 5-10 minutes, we'll probably put a close to the stream. And I'm going to go to the beach and probably do a stream at the beach and kind of organize my day. But that's really dope, though. But thank you. Thank you for the support, Dave Russell. That's actually a great idea. Absolutely. I think people would love to hear that, brother. I think people, if there's anything I've learned about being a YouTuber, you know, for these, like, last 9 months is, like, there is 1,000% an audience for anything and everything. More or less. Like, not, maybe that's not the ultimate rule of thumb, but especially niche, authentic experiences, like, say, spiritual communities and dimensions. Like, this community, this channel is basically a perfect example of that. Now, the rooting, of course, is central around connecting to a divine context in relation to music, that is guitar. sound journeys as a whole. But that is a niche that probably would not succeed like 10 years ago. Maybe it would, I don't know. Maybe it would. But it's the idea that humans are evolving, people are changing. The desire for something authentic, connecting to something more open-hearted and open-minded and expansive. The time is now. Like the time to expand into a higher consciousness is now, and to create community portals for that seems to be something that is in need. It's like there's a desire for these for all of us. I mean, YouTube channel is a YouTube channel. You gotta do the YouTube channel thing, but so many dimensions of YouTube niches can succeed, and like especially if you're passionate and you really believe in your intention. But yeah, working on a show with a past lives and reincarnation is part of it. Very cool. You look like JK and play beautifully. Why, thank you, Winnie. We're able to find Denver Clay stuff after. I still didn't. I looked up Denver Clay and nothing popped up. I don't know if that's like a specific artist. Maybe let me know if there's any Denver Clay songs that you're familiar that you like. Did you ever dive into the mysticism and spirituality? Dark Force. Beautiful. So Dark Force is 18 years old. Took a F-ton of psychedelics, not knowing what I was getting myself into. Yeah, sounds familiar. Congratulations, brother. You did well. That does trick. No substance is needed. Yeah. Try to shut up most of the time. That does trick. No drugs needed. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, Taoism, Buddhism, all such beautiful, beautiful, beautiful domains. I agree so much. So I'm happy for you, dog, for exploring that and finding some solace within that. Rhythm Trance, Vol Test 1, Tesla's Dream by Denver Clay. Okay. I'll give that a little Google. Because I searched up Denver Clay and I found nothing. Because Google was overwhelming me with nothing. Rhythm Trance. I see. Trance. I see. Tesla. Okay. Tesla's Dream. Oh, wow. Okay. Tesla's Dream. That's promising as fuck. Denver Clay. That should pop up. Maybe I'll have to search on SoundCloud. I'll keep that up in my tab. Yeah, keep that open in my tab. Very nice. Yo, Raj, hear many of your songs. What's that? Oh, that was the outdated message there. Law of One. Yes. Yeah, Law of One. I've recently been finding myself really inspired to a few very specific dynamics that I'm positive will do well. The idea is I basically purchase a very high quality lav mic that I'm going to equip to my guitar. I'm going to go to forests and record as I have, like very gentle, meditative forest walks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to also, in post-production, I'm going to weave over, I'll probably play the meditative forest walk in 432 hertz, respectively. And then I'll take a vibration that is 432 hertz. Just a beautiful white noise core vibration. And I'll set that as the back tone. Maybe, introduce some other like pan flute elements on top. But the idea is I want to successfully summon a very particular, I would say, let's call it a spiritual dimension, a very particular place. Maybe it's like an ancient Egyptian god, or maybe it's something as we've done historically from the Law of One, because I find that resonates a lot with me personally. Just basically finding a theme of what I can associate and channel my meditative journey from, and also attaching it to a very specific vibration that is 432 hertz. I think that's something that would be very fun to explore, and increasingly trying to lean into themes, basically historical or ancient history related themes, symbolism, maybe different Scandinavian cultures or different ancient cultures, and really leaning into how I can summon that in my meditative sound journeys. That's kind of what's been going on for me lately. I'm just like, what? I think that would perform well. I don't know why. I feel like YouTube thrives in specificity of themes. Like when you're really just creating a unique dynamic that is specific in nature, that is meditative, you know, which I'm leaning into with my channel. So cool stuff. I'm all about, lately I've been, my mind's all about high quality, you know, high quality content, high quality audio, very high quality, authentic dynamics that resonate with me, that still plays into what I do already very well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that feels. It's a class. Beautiful playing. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yes, the hat. Feels good. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Temple. I'm just trying to constantly just, you know, summon the inspiration, right? If you can shut, you can hear. That's a weird one. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Beautiful waves, the crash, acoustic harmonics flowing through. Why, thank you. I honestly, I appreciate it very much too. That's what I've been like really feeling. These like strong, dynamic sounds, complemented with the gentle. It's very fun. It's very, yeah, very inspired from a lot of the artists that I listen to. It's like, that's kind of a core thing is, you know, I spoke with this at the start of the stream. I was listening to Alexander Misko. He released a song, it was actually a cover of George Michael's Careless Whisper, which is a song for some reason I really fucking love. And yeah, he did his cover that's all just guitar, really high quality, very technical, beautiful acoustic fingerstyle, a cover. And hearing his playing style, his advanced, very technical playing style to the song, it just blew my mind. Where I was like, you know what? I'm really just gonna sit here and just like honor Alexander Misko's energy. And he released a whole album recently. It's called Final Boss album. You know, Alexander Misko. Shout out Alexander Misko. But really, yeah, the idea is that's what I've been actually doing today. Is like right now I've been playing around a lot with a lot of Alexander Misko style playing, and a lot of what he does is kind of what I'm playing around with right now. Is very dynamic dynamics. So very much like, you know, lots of like beautiful, very dynamic percussive strikes, but also lots of one-handed isolated tapping dynamics, which is tricky. It's difficult stuff, I'll be honest, to try to like time, you know, a rhythmic section alongside doing like intricate one-handed tapping dynamics. It clearly takes skill, and Alexander Misko does it very beautifully. So I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and I can sort of do it. I can kind of do it, but it's definitely not like my wheelhouse. It's not my specialty. But I want to make it, so, and it will. It will become. Beautiful waves. Yeah, thank you so much. Good man, Ryan, this sounds great. That's what I do with the naughty kids. Explained. Okay. Can have negative comments, for instance, when other kids are reading, most want to change. Right. Sweet. Yes. Can you resonate at 7.83 hertz? 7.83. I mean, I don't know. I've never thought about that. 432 is basically standard tuning, but taken about there. Like that's standard tuning. 440, that's 432 on a tuner. So 432, I'm sure you can tune a guitar to pretty much every hertz, but I'm not exactly sure how to do it. But that's an interesting thought. Just going in deeper. It's the key to ascension, reaching the next density of vibration, living 51% to others and 41% to self. I like the specificity of that. I like how defined God Valis, vast achieves, living intelligent system. Interesting. Very cool. I have not, yes. Yes, I have not listened to the songs yet. No, sir. Not enough subscribers for a live yet. Fair enough. Your time will come. Your time will come, my dog. What's my newest piece of music gear? My newest piece. Uh, well, technically this baby. Yes. Technically this is my newest piece of gear. It's didgeridoo. It's my newest sort of musical exploration. Yes. It was a gift. Holding on to it from a beautiful, beautiful soul. Yes, Star Force in life was always present, even the inanimate stuff. Life is a self-emergent. Ah, built into stuff, and the emergence, and will emerge when ready. Rock you like a hurricane. Great song. Do not know how to perform it. Yeah. Very nice. A meditation for each of the universal laws. Yeah, 528 singing bowls. My friend brought me mad honey. Oh, well, there you go. Mad honey. Yes, I've heard about that very briefly. What's good, Sajana? Sajana Vampire. Yeah, nice. Nice. There you go. I mean, I like hearing people being creative, but I have to say, I do not, at this point, desire to promote, self-promotion at this point. Like, it's just a rule of thumb. It's not particularly a personal endeavor, but I want to just make it clear that this stream is not really a portal where I want people to sort of just, like, normalize self-promotion. I mean, I don't know. Again, I think just throwing a casual, avocation of the creation you're proud of, that's beautiful. But in the larger scope of what it takes, if you're trying to commercialize or promote your own material, all the power to you. But I would say this is not the place. And I don't want to, again, normalize or enable people, trying to just kind of go down that rabbit hole. But I don't know. That's just what I want to say. What that is. Like, I love people honoring what they're doing. But yeah. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Again, like, maybe it will change. I think, respectively, I want to be open to, shifting my domain. But I think at this point, professionally, I don't want to promote self-promotion, or I don't want to normalize that means. That's kind of, yeah. Just a rule of thumb, respectively. Some tuners you can change to 432 Hertz. Do I know about the chakras? That I do, yeah. I'm very much a fan. One love, try a chord one time. Chords are next level. Who doesn't love chords? Some tuners you can change to hertz from 432 hertz. Yeah, what I've noticed is 432 hertz, beautifully enough, is like, if you're, say, on your standard tuner, and then you go to about here, on my guitar at least, I actually immediately, like, say I'm here, this is 440, and right there, right on the cusp where the E note becomes, say, well, D sharp, right on the cusp, that's actually where 432 hertz is for my guitar. So I find 432 hertz is very easy to access. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate it. It's just, again, rule of thumb is, like, I made the same rule when I was, like, a week in, and it's like, I do not want to be a channel where people are just like, yeah, just trying to enable self-promotion again, just to, maybe that'll change, maybe that'll be a thing that I'll be flexible in the future, but at this point, in this YouTube channel, I want to make it, yeah, I don't want to promote that, like, promote self-promotion. Well, Bonkya and the Chocolate Blackberry. Whoa. You know how to circle breathe. I do not know how to circle breathe. I would love to learn, though. Why I'm trying to learn, yeah. gotta say again for like the billion or third time, shout out Alexander Misko. I appreciate Alexander Misko and his efforts moving forward the musical dimension, really just like evolving and innovating the progressive fingerstyle scene. Alexander Misko is doing a phenomenal job, and he's a core influence of mine, and I just really appreciate his devotion and dedication to the art form of guitar. You know, he's really brought in a beautiful element, and I'm really happy to see his new album being released. Yeah. But that's just me personally just honoring and playing some of his stylings has just really, really inspired a lot of my playing, just feeling into that. So, so cool. So cool to see musicians of this generation that are still like continuously pioneering the guitar in such a way, and that really just resonates with me. You know, there's just some beautiful guitarists out there. They're doing really cool things. Yeah. Yeah. So very true, brother. Chakras and karma should be taught. Yeah. Would you take a week to close the cap if you practice? Not sure what you mean by that, brother. Karma is just cause and effect, right? Cause and effect reflecting on the present predicament. It goes very deep. Karmic is believed to be believed to be cause and effect, but it's actually much deeper, quintessentially. But that's a conversation for another time. I've actually did a whole long talk about karma that was beautiful. It's on one of my previous I would say podcasts, not a podcast, but lives. Went deep down that rabbit hole. I actually wrote a song. The song called what is it? Yes, the Law of One Inspired Journey Cosmic Map. That one was actually inspired from this talk, talking about karma and various dimensions of like the larger laws of karma and astrology. But yeah, beautiful stuff though. Yeah, it's really good, beautiful talk. I almost feel like again, I kind of have a mental block, truthfully, about how I have so many lives that I would love to extract really beautiful peak moments and just release them as content, but it seems like such a task. And most of the downloaders, I might have to just purchase some really high quality YouTube video downloader and just download a lot of my lives and then extract those and release them in videos, because it's hard to find like high quality like YouTube downloaders and like clip capturers that I can take my lives from and then release them as content, because there's so many talks, literally probably like 30-40 talks that I'm like, oh, these are bangers that I could release as content, but I've yet to do so. And part of me is kind of, it's like a mental block. I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll just leave those in the YouTube live space. You know, those are gems for people to discover. But also, I think moving forward, I think it would be a wise decision to take parts of those lives and just release those as formal content to make it easier for my viewers to find those, because there's so many awesome talks. Do you know the Irish guitar guy Gary Moore? He's my favorite Irish guitarist. Word. Yeah. Oh, closing the gap. Counting the airflow. Interesting. No, I've only been playing the didgeridoo for literally like a day. Like, I got it like 2 days ago, so I've genuinely, yeah, I'm like a day, maybe 2 days into the didgeridoo. But I see a lot of potential. Could even edit the videos and release it like a podcast. Yeah. That's the thing, is like 1000%, there's a lot I could do. I'm sure that's going to happen soon, especially once I'm monetized. I'm probably just going to like really take the time to go through so many of these lives, because it's a fun experience. Like, and I know for a fact there's like at least 20 to 30 moments that were like full on, like multiple, like 20 minutes or 10, 15 minutes or whatever, little segments where I'm like, oh, these are like really, really good content. Like, I couldn't record a video, you know, in the moment and capture it as effectively as I did on the live stream. And that's a beautiful thing, is like, I think, yeah, it would be wise to go back. I think what I'm going to have to do is, moving forward, I might do this later this week, is I just have to purchase a really, really high quality video editing software. Unfortunately, some of them are through AI, which is, you know, I hate AI with a strong passion, but that's one of the best applications for it. Is like, it basically uses AI to scan and, you know, extract high quality video footage from your YouTube clips and your lives, and it lets you sort of sort through them. Or I don't even have to probably purchase an AI thing and just use a regular video clip software. But that's honestly, I have to do it. I have to do it. Honestly, the more I talk about it, I think I'd be foolish not to use that intelligent angle to just release content that I've made in my lives. Because there's so many, they're just bangers. And most of them, I swear, they're just awesome conversations that happen on the fly with you guys. Like, genuinely, they're just conversations directly, or even just live music pieces or things that were inspired from these interactions that are just so beautiful. They're so pure and they're such high quality content that it has to happen. Like, I gotta do it. It's gotta happen. Ah. It's kind of like a mental block in some rights where I'm like, oh man, I got like fucking hours and hours of footage I can go through that I can release, but I have to do it now. I gotta like, I'm holding myself accountable right here. He's dead now, but Gary was the best. Oh wow. Let's see, so Gary Moore. Gary Moore. Fuck yeah, brother. I'm gonna give him also a search. Thank you for sharing. Oh, Northern Irish. Oh. Northern Irish singer-songwriter known for his virtuoso blues, hard rock, heavy metal, jazz, fusion. Wow. What an interesting blend of genres. Well then, interesting. I'll have to give him a go at some point, yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Well, I think as we just hit the 3-hour mark. I think this is a perfect time to put a close because we're approaching about 3 o'clock. Oh yeah, dude, Infected Mushroom is awesome. That was like, yeah, that was one of the first few bands that like really opened my mind to like psychedelic type of music. They rock. As much as I'm loving doing this and I'm loving this improv Alexander Misko inspired music, I think what I need to do is I need to organize myself, make a bunch of potatoes, maybe go buy some juice and sweet potatoes, and hit the beach and plunge into the freezing cold, salty ocean waters to open up my sinuses and clear my soul. I don't know. Terry Reid, The Sea of Memory. Wow, sweet. I'm loving the recommendations. Like genuinely, that's like, it always means a lot when people just like genuinely, it's like, yeah, like this is really impacting me musically. Because I feel the way, it may not be my exact genre, but like, it's just so cool to hear that. He's awesome, Ryan. You'll love him. Can I have a link to YouTube song below for you? Wow. Can I link a YouTube song below? I'm not sure if YouTube links work here, brother. Just send me the song and I'll just like check it up or check into it. But I'm pretty sure YouTube doesn't allow links. I don't know. I've never tried. But, hey. Yeah. No, I feel you. Like, again, I feel... It feels weird sometimes to kind of create those boundaries, but it's like, as much as I respect you and just like in extension those that are artists that are trying to like, you know, with good intention really just share what they love to make. Like I get it. I'm an artist. I've been an artist for my entire like 16, 17 years. It's like I think I'm in an interesting instance where this is the weird caveat that I've noticed has been overseering with everything with this YouTube channels. Being a YouTuber is a very experimental water for me. And I think, as I've acknowledged, you know, I love to like throw this out there because it's a very relevant, intimate part of how I make decisions is I'm a new YouTuber. I've been doing this for like freaking 8 months. I'm a new streamer. I know that navigating these waters, you know, understanding what it looks like for my own professional brand or my community, it's like something that I'm new to building. I'm sure I'm going to see a broader perspective that's going to have an open heart and a more open, larger, broader perspective. But as I'm really new to this, I think I have to be like really, really, I'd say comprehensive with my boundaries of being like, okay, but this is good, this is okay at this point, you know, this feels intuitively like what I want to reinforce or enable or whatever. Maybe not even those are the words, but it's a rule of thumb. It's kind of like a precaution of me being like, okay, I want to experiment with the professional boundaries of what feels good to me. But anyways, that's just a rule of thumb. It's like, honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense to me, and I hopefully as I develop my brand, I'm going to be like really open-hearted and realize, you know what, sure, there's a little bit of something to be said about professional boundaries and this right or this right, but also maybe some of these, you know, conceptions of how I'm navigating things don't really have a whole lot of merit. It's just like I got to exercise letting go of some of these ways I'm trying to navigate my brand. But c'est la vie. Again, it's as a new streamer, I think I have an intuitive way that I'm like, you know what, out of respect or precaution for this, or out of a professional uh, boundary of relation of this, I'm just gonna do this way, just because. Like, I don't know exactly. I haven't been navigating these waters for a long ass time, and hopefully I'll come across other YouTubers that have been doing this YouTube thing for a long period of time that are in a similar niche, so I can kind of learn the ropes. I can figure out, you know what, this is a good idea, or this is a good boundary to set, or you know what, maybe this is a good way to honor this, and I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's Fighting the Fields, and I think you love the guitar solo from Gary. Fighting the Fields. It's fighting in the fields. Word. Fighting in the fields. Beautiful. Out in the Fields. Live in Stockholm. Out in the Fields. Out in the Fields. Powerful song by Gary Moore and Phil Nyland. Man, yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Now you haven't heard it. Stop while you're doing and play it. Nice. Wicked. Time Pink Floyd. Oh yeah, Time is a beautiful, beautiful song. That's beautiful. Yeah, it's like, I respect that and honor that. Like, I can feel, clearly in the way our interactions, I can feel your intention flow through Temple with everything you're doing. It's like, you're clearly a very intentional guy, and I feel like I really respect your perspective. So I know what you're doing comes from a really open-hearted place. So that's where it's like, when I even set professional boundaries, it's always about me trying to just define these for myself. But yeah, brother, feel free. Yeah, let's connect on Instagram, my dog. And let me find for basically, yeah, for Temple, before we go, because we're going to put a closing to the stream in the next minute or two. But yeah, for Temple, feel free to follow me on Instagram. This is my more personal Instagram. But yeah, it's Neuro Hacker. Actually, let me make this easier. Let me find, yeah. Yeah, but I trust the mass majority of people here are not. Is this. So that's, yeah, feel free to follow me there, Temple. That is my Instagram. Yeah, brother, just feel free. We can definitely, like, exchange, talk more. It's an easier way to communicate. Like, I also am super down to, like, connect via other things and etc. I was like trying to experiment with Zoom. I haven't really got set up with Zoom. Go explore the forest of Westwood. Yeah, brother. I'm gonna explore. I'll probably do a brief run to like meditate and clear my mind. But I think the move is I'm going down to the beach. I'm gonna go on the large journey down to Wreck Beach, which feels like the move. It's a beautiful day. It's probably the warmest it's gonna be all week. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. But I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate you, Backcountry Brothers. Legendary. Backcountry Brothers. I love that. The Backcountry Brothers. Got this beautiful nature. This guy gets it. This guy gets it. Magic. Me too, Temple. We all love you, brother. Explore the forest of Westwood. Yeah. So cool. So beautiful. Man, the level of intentionality. Especially on today's stream. It's been magic. Like, you guys rock, I must say. Like, I say that with the utmost sincerity. I know it's a YouTube stream, and I'm, like, facilitating a stream, but, like, I feel really blessed to have continuously this portal where I feel like I'm really successfully gathering and attracting really dope people. Like, this is just an absolute blessing. It's an extension of my intention that I feel I really hold within this real world. Yo, what's good? You guys rock. We all rock. We all rock out. We're all rocking. We're rocking and rolling in this spiritual conquest. Thank you, friend. Macaulay Culkin. Sure. I don't know how the fuck Macaulay sounds, but I can't do an accent because my voice is kind of sinusly clogged. But I'm Macaulay. I'm Heath. I'm Daniel Weber. I'm Johnny Depp. Not really. Apparently, I'm also John Cena. I'm freaking all these guys in one. Humans, we're not really just one. We're all blended together. I don't know. Can you please come and explore the forest? Yeah. Another time, dog. Yeah. I'd be happy to another time. Yeah. Amazing. Very cool. Very nice. Amazing. Very nice. I feel like backcountry, you're you're triggering my intuition, my friend. I feel like you might be those random brothers or those random cousins and friends that happen to just be, some young fellas that decided to just come onto the stream. I guess trying to do almost like a stream snipe and just yell out random, what's the word? Yeah, random stuff. Just random words and just strange stuff. So, with that, I think I'm going to go with my intuition and just give backcountry a nice 24-hour timeout because you're looking very mighty suspicious. But with that, that being said, just reflecting on, I know that this stream, it's like I really appreciate the level of presence and reverence that a lot of people hold for this stream. But it's interesting. Like about a week ago or a couple weeks back, there was a young fellow that decided to just like he was like a dude that was in the area of my local neighborhood, and I guess he just advertised the channel because he was like excited about the YouTube channel to some of his cousins, and his cousins were like some like young fellows that were just kind of like went on their own accord to basically just start yelling random swear words when they were scootering around the neighborhood, which was a very interesting experience. Honestly, I took it with a grain of salt. I was like, you know what? I was like, these young fellas are clearly lost, and they're just doing what young kids do. Like they're like 13 or 15-year-olds. But it made me realize that this channel is clearly for emotionally intelligent audiences only. Like I know moving forward that with all due respect, I love the younger generation. Like I really appreciate the interest from young human beings. They're phenomenal, but this channel surely is not something I'm going to promote to even people, because I think YouTube has like a strict regulation with people of certain ages. It's like this is clearly for fully emotionally intelligent human beings. Anyways, with a grain of salt, thank you so much for being here. Deeply appreciate you guys being here, and yeah, remember to honor yourself and honor each other. And if you feel free to follow this channel, if this content resonates with you, I'm just dying here. But yeah, I teach guitar and I do meditative sound journeys among various things. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Much love. I appreciate you being here, brother. Peace out. Drive by insults is like how we knocked on doors. Yeah. No, honestly, I made a very powerful realization that, yeah, kids will be kids. Kids will, if they're just it's attention-seeking behavior. But the most intelligent thing you can do is basically be a full-grown adult about it and be like, you know what? I think I'm just going to basically take the fun out of it. Like, ruin if they have like a desire to intrude, like it's like knocking on a doorbell or, yeah, whatever ding dong ditch kind of style of scootering around, screaming at people's random streams. Well, it's very easy. It's not very hard to diffuse the fun out of that. Literally, it takes me a quarter of a second to exit a stream and make them realize that they're wasting their time. Like, it's like, oh, wait, there wasn't any cancellation. Basically use a fully evolved adult psychology to approach the issue. But, yeah, c'est la vie. Ding dong. Very nice. I don't know what to say to that. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys supporting and very much. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy your day. Much love. I'm gonna go on a hunch and say, yeah, cucumber. Have a nice revoke